Congratulations, 9.9 pounds, 27.2 cc, just over 1 horsepower. This lightweight, easy to start STIHL FS 40 is a great string trimmer if you're looking for something light, easy to start, maneuverable for a small in-town property. You picked it up, cool, way to go. Let's learn how you can get the most out of this machine and have it for a long time. We hope you've got the right machine for your property. I'm sure you did. You've done your research and you started with this guy. And what led you to the FS40? My guess is this wonderful easy start system, right? Did you see that? Nice, easy pull. So you know how to start this. Let's go over it. Let's talk about the basics of the STIHL FS40. Hey guys, Josh with Carl's Mower and Saw, and today we're gonna teach you what you need to know to have this a long time, to have the safety ideas in mind, and how to reload the head. That's probably the most important thing, because you don't want to be dead in the middle of a lawn. You started, you got halfway around, you accidentally hit the fence a little harder than you meant to, and the line is gone. What do I do? Okay, safety first. You would have got these safety glasses with it. Not the most comfortable, so maybe you splurged and picked yourself up something that you left the sticker on, because is that cool to leave a sticker on glasses? I know on hats it's cool, but not on glasses. So safety, let's protect our eyes. Maybe you even want a little bit more safety. Check out this STIHL brush defender. I've got my ears covered and I've got my whole face covered. Flying slugs are not gonna hit my face. So let's cover our ears, let's cover our eyes, let's cover our face. We got the safety stuff. Let's talk about one other accessory that came with it. You know, I was running around the showroom this morning trying to find the standard strap. This machine would have come with a non-padded shoulder strap. Looks very similar, so we'll use it just so you can see. And if you want to upgrade, maybe you got the non-padded one, you're like, man, I want something that's a little more comfortable. Stop by your STIHL dealer, they have them on hand. We have them, they're for sale, they're gonna cost you about 10 bucks. This strap is gonna hook right here, and then you're gonna pop this. I don't put purses on very often, so let's see if I can do this right. Pop this over like so. Boy, that just took a lot of the weight off it, and it's gonna be a lot easier if I don't have a lot of upper body strength to weed eat around my property. Okay, we got that stuff covered. Let's go for starting it. Fuel is gonna be our first step. We're either gonna run fuel, gasoline that we purchase at the gas station with STIHL Ultra, HP Ultra Mix. I got this goes in 1 gallon of preferably ethanol-free fuel, hopefully ethanol-free fuel. Let's talk a little bit about gas. Gas is gonna be the biggest enemy to this machine, and ethanol in our fuel is going to be the thing that gets in the way. In as little as 8 weeks, gas starts to degrade. That's a short time, and I'm guessing a gallon of gas in this machine for your lawn is gonna last you all summer long. So let's step up to a better quality gas without ethanol. Ethanol is an alcohol. It separates from the gas. It sucks in water, causes corrosion internally. It's just bad news. So ethanol-free fuel, please. Or if you don't want to mess around with finding ethanol-free fuel and you know you're going to go through a very small amount, maybe consider picking up this STIHL Moto Mix. Pre-mixed, 93 octane. We can't buy that locally. We can't find 93 octane locally. Pre-mixed, ready to roll. I simply just pour this in and I'm good. And for a lot of people, this quart, it's gonna last you several months. That's a lot of use. Let's fire it up. Let's get some fuel in here. So take the cap off, like so. And we're gassed. The FS40 has a couple of nice features to it when you step up from the smaller FS38. We've got an auto return to start or a momentary kill switch stop button. So when I shut it off, which is pushing forward, it returns to run. That's gonna save you some frustrations. I can't tell you how many times I've pulled the rope on one of these and it was actually in the off position, and then like 7 pulls in, you go, oh wait, I forgot to turn it on. Yeah, here I am, somebody who does this all the time, and dumb move, right? So it's always ready to start from that standpoint. Then I'm gonna prime it. See that primer right there in the back? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be my number normally. This has never been primed, so I'm gonna give it a few extra pumps to get the fuel up from fuel tank to carburetor. And then we're gonna flip it around. Right here is my choke. See that little lever? Push and twist up, which is counterclockwise. Now that little sucker is attached to the throttle trigger. You hear that click? I just shut the choke off. That's great, that's handy, unless when you go to start it, you inadvertently hit the trigger, and then you're gonna pull it a bunch because there's no choke on. So let's fire it up. We've got it choked. Let's go down on the ground here. So I'm gonna take my left hand, or right hand if you're gonna be on the other side of the machine. I'm gonna firmly grip this handle. I'm gonna take my right hand, I'm gonna pull the rope. I've got the choke on. Don't pull hard. This has the easy start. So I simply, for a guy, usually I recommend just doing a curl. If you do this, I hit the end of that rope so hard that fairly soon I'm gonna break the starter rope or screw up the starter. We don't wanna do that. So just a very light pull. Now, I went really fast because I've started probably thousands of machines like this. As soon as it started, my pinky hit this throttle to shut the choke off. So make sure you do that. All right, before we move down to the operating end, we're gonna cover a couple things up at the top. My air filter is hiding right under here, and somewhere on my pile of stuff, I have a tool. Now all this is going to be in the owner's manual that you picked up. So I got my FS40 owner's manual right here, along with directions on how to rewind the head. So if I fail on anything, I apologize. Air filter. T27 Torx head. We'll take this cover off. And right underneath is my air filter. Kind of a heavy felt material, not really washable, more kind of brush offable. Why don't once a year you just throw a new one in? They're cheap, it's easy, that way you know it's always clean. My spark plug is going to be hiding right here. That, again, once a year is not a bad idea, although you probably don't need to do it but every couple of years. All depends on how you're going to remember to do it in the future. And one other thing I want to point out is the spark arrestor. What's a spark arrestor? Spark arrestor is a little screen in the muffler that prevents sparks from flying out of the muffler. Why do we have sparks flying out? Because we have a hot motor with gases that are burning, and sometimes we're gonna have sparks that come out. So US Forest Service, I think it's US Forest Service says, we have to have this. We can't have sparks flying out. We don't need forest fires, right? So don't take it out and leave it out. We don't need fires going around our neighborhoods. But what'll happen is over time, this screen that's hidden back in here, right there, will get plugged up. For not everybody, but for some people it happens. Why does that happen? Why does that screen plug up? Here's a few reasons. A very dirty air filter. I talked about changing this once a year. If you go significantly longer than that, as that air filter gets dirty, this machine is going to run rich fuel, does not burn as clean, and then eventually plugs up the screen. So dirty air filter, half throttle, okay? We need to run hot, we need to run hard, we need to burn that oil out of the gas. Too long of trimmer line. Now that shouldn't happen unless you take this guard off, which is a no-no. And probably one last one is really poor quality fuel. A fuel that just sucks is not going to burn well, and eventually you'll plug up that screen. So if you ever go out and you start this machine up and it doesn't want to accelerate and just sounds like garbage, that'd be a quick tip, a first thing to check before you bring it into the shop and spend some money on it. Okay, air filter, spark plug, fuel, spark arrestor. We know how to start it. One other little thing here, that same T27 will loosen this handle and allow you to slide it up and down and find the proper position. If you're pushing 6 foot, this is probably not the right machine. You see how I can't even touch the ground until I bend over a little bit? That was exaggerated, I know, but you can do some adjustments. Now let's talk about this trimmer head. This is the AutoCut C6-2. The C indicates that it is an easy load, one that we actually don't have to take apart to reload it. But in order for me to show you how to reload it, I need to get all the line out of there. Easiest way is for me to take this loose. And I'm going to spin this outer black knob like so. We're going to take all this trimmer line off. So before we continue, let's put the base of the line head on like so. Let's put the spring in like that. Normally, I recommend setting it like this. This way you don't lose the stuff. Put this piece back in. And we are good. First step, let's get our trimmer line in hand. We're going to grab 3 arm lengths of .080 rounded trimmer line. 080 is going to feed the best, and rounded is going to be also part of that important feeding process. So cut this, and we now have one piece that's roughly 18 feet long. Let's get a peek up close here. You see that triangle right there? We'll call it an arrow. You see that arrow right there? They need to line up. What happens when we do that is this eyelet all the way to this eyelet should be an open tunnel. So I take this now and I start pushing it in. It should peek out the other. It does peek out the other side. And we're going to pull it halfway through. So usually I get it fairly close, and then I take the ends, put them together. Wow, that was really close. Nicely done. That's like 5 inches off. And then I just walk it up and pull it. There we go. And what you're going to spin is this white or light gray part. I'm going to spin this counterclockwise. What will happen as I do this, this line will get sucked in, and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until I get to the end. Fairly easy. And this head actually does work well with a couple things in mind. Good trimmer line, like I've already hit on, and proper bumping characteristics or technique. And what I mean by that is just simply by hitting this on the ground, it doesn't make this line come out. It's got to be spinning. So we need to be at a half throttle or up or higher in order to make it pull the trimmer line out. And bumping often enough. So often what happens is a head like this will come in and this line will be broken off inside. What happened to that? Why did that happen? Well, I was cutting really easy stuff, not wearing the trimmer line out at the end, but all the while it's wearing at this eyelet where it comes out of the housing, and then boom, it breaks off right at the housing. And you're like, how did that happen? Because you weren't wearing it out here, but it was wearing here. So bumping more often than one might intend or think is necessary is kind of an important thing. So the STIHL AutoCut C6-2 that comes on the FS40, great trimmer head, but maybe you just don't like it. Maybe you don't get along with the bump head. Why don't you stop back in Carl's Mower and Saw and maybe pick up the DuroCut 5-2. This simple, easy line head just runs strips of trimmer line. All I do is carry around 10 of them in my pocket, and when it wears out, I simply shove in a new 8-inch strip. When that wears out, I pull it out, throw a new one in. Super easy, mounts right up to it. And then there's one other head that I'm out of. Should never point out that I'm out of stock, but the polycut head that runs the harder plastic blades. So maybe you pick this machine up and you thought you're only going to be just trimming around your lawn, the lightweight stuff, not hitting anything heavy, but all of a sudden you looked at the green belt behind you and it's starting to attack your lawn. It's starting to kind of own your property. With the polycut, you could push back some of those heavier weeds, not really into blackberries or brushy things, but some of those taller, heavier weeds that are going to be knee-high. That would work as a good option there. Now you know about your STIHL FS40. Let's get the most out of it. Let's get this out and working weekly, and let's own this for 15 years and be proud of the STIHL product you purchased. Hey, for more questions, more answers, stop by Carl's Mower and Saw, your outdoor power equipment experts.